I'll be honest, I don't think art school is really worth it. A matter of fact, I think it's kind of a waste of time and money as well. Now, there's so many factors that could be implemented into this argument, but I think one of the main reasons why I don't think going to art school is really worth it is about how traditional it could be, as well as not being caught up in the modern times. And I know many people could argue saying, well, dude, you need to learn the fundamentals of art because that's the reason why art is the way it is now. And I'm not here to disagree because I honestly think that's the reason why. But, as things happen, things change, so is, education, modern times. And I know it sounds hypocritical coming from someone who did design for 4 years, but and at least in art school, we automatically transitioned to software because we didn't see any not value, but we saw the efficiency and how quick we're able to create something without having to sit there, draw, and do it by hand and kind of learn the fundamentals of it. And it's just the reality of it. And I feel that art school is great that they're teaching you about charcoal. They're teaching you how to use different mediums, be exposed to different tools or resources, correct? And I think what it has is could be good to a certain point or a certain level, but as modern times are happening, it feels like okay, I still need to learn these stuff to actually appreciate the other stuff already. And for me, I think that just takes too much time that doesn't need to be really involved in because that's not really going to help you out in the long run. Personally, for me, but I think another reason why I don't really agree with it is because of how everything's already online or on the internet. And you know, we could literally look any YouTube video up right now, show me how to draw, right? And you can learn it. And I think there's different ways of people how to teach it. From what I'm understanding is that art school has a structure for you how to learn things. When personally for me, at least in my opinion, you can look up to whatever you feel like catches your interest already, instead of having to go through these long runs of exposure meeting tools or whatever, which there's nothing wrong with. I just think there has to be to a point where you can learn how to do art. You can learn how to do all these other stuff just by googling it or just wanting to sit there and learn different things that you've never been exposed to. And I think right there just saves you a lot of time and money, and as well, the internet is there for you to explore. But I personally don't think that art school can only do so much with that because if I wanted to learn how to draw, they give me an assignment how to draw something, I could literally look it up on YouTube, or they just kind of give me the main topics of it and I'll start research it myself. And that's just me because that's how I learned how to draw, or at least did art when I was barely even getting to even begin with. And that at least personally has helped me a lot of time. And that's why where most of my creativity happened, because I didn't have structure. I just thought, hey, what do I want to make? What do I feel like will be great? But just by sitting down and drawing it, and little by little, I kind of taught myself, hey, if I want to draw this thing, how do I begin to do it? Rather than having a whole new structure to it. I think another last thing that plays a huge role into it is the benefits that come out of going to art school. Now, there's a huge deal because we already know how the economy is. We're cooked already. I mean, regardless. But I think the biggest thing that's involved is how little job security is for people who go to art school, and that's just the truth. And I feel like people who go to art school or get a job in art, whatever, with a degree in art school, whatever, either they know somebody or they have the money for it, and that's just through and through. Because nowadays it's hard to even get a job. And can you imagine just having a degree in art and trying to get a job? Like, it's hard, and it's not even just that. It's just really competitive out here, and then everyone's trying to do the same thing as you are. And the only way you can really do that is like, hey, if you know someone who can help you out with this, or you have the money for it to be like, hey, I have these things, you have to hire me or whatever. I mean, the list goes on. And it's just kind of the reality that many people, these artists, tend to miss out because they're so focused on the soul creating of wanting to show what they're able to do with their techniques and skills, that sometimes art school really tend to avoid the topics of marketing or business sometimes, because they want to basically avoid you from getting anything near that, because they want you to focus on the creativity of it. But there's a reality outside of it that many people tend to not understand, that once you're out there, you're on your own. And I think that's the most annoying and frustrating part with teaching, that they don't help you realize, oh crap, you're on your own from there. And I think that's one of the worst ways, at least personally for me, to educate, the new upcoming generation to like, hey, focus on this, don't worry about that right now. And for me, as someone who became a designer, I was luckily able to find jobs, at least where I was at. But as you expand more and more, you start to realize, oh crap, like some of these jobs aren't available, and that's just the reality of it. And sometimes I regret going to school because I'm like, well, this doesn't help me. This isn't, at least in my lifestyle or, perspective, it doesn't really benefit me, especially in a situation someone's in. And for me, I just think that our school can only do so much. Yes, it's fun the 4 years, but after that, you're kind of like on your own. And if you don't have any support system or anyone who has any idea of the business or at least the industry how it works, then that's what even makes it more difficult. And now you have to look for a job that at least pays you good, and also try to survive. Whatever you're doing for now, but because you were so focused on having to express yourself to every different medium or whatever, you kind of lost like the reality of what's going to happen afterwards. But that's just my personal opinion of why art school shouldn't be something, I want to say promoted, but should be really more thought about before going into it. Because I think people just like, you know what, I'm lost, I'm gonna go to art school, and hopefully whatever I go through kind of helps me in my way or journey in my life or whatever. But as someone who did go to design school, yes, I'm not struggling, but I do see the problems that many people would come across. And I can only imagine how art school is kind of making that even more worse because people are just doing it. They're not thinking through it. But then again, that's just my opinion. Who cares what I think?